I'm going to be sharing with you in this video how to fall in love with life and yourself. Now, this might sound like a little bit of a cliche topic, but the truth is that if you can learn to fall in love with the process of your life, first of all, you're going to enjoy every single moment fully. Not to mention that energy is going to help you to manifest your goals in such a powerful way and create such a magnetic energy and polarity to who you are that you otherwise would not have had you not stepped into that energy of falling in love with yourself and life. And that's exactly what we're going to be talking about in this video. So, if you're new to this channel, what I want you to do is I want you to hit that subscribe button. I want you to hit that notification bell because I do post a new video every single day. Also, if you want to work with me one-on-one personally, hit the link that's in the description box of this video to apply for a free consultation. And the first thing that I want to share with you in this video in terms of how to fall in love with life and yourself is to, number one, understand that what you want to do is fall in love with movement and action. Now, I don't necessarily mean action and movement as like physical movement or physically taking action. It can mean you just sitting on your chair and like watching YouTube videos for 3 hours and like processing things that has happened to you like previous in the day. It can literally be anything. Like what you want to do is just fall in love with the idea of moving the energy in your life and changing your experience. And that's the whole thing, is that it's not even an idea. It's the actuality of movement. Most people are afraid of the actual reality of moving the energy in your life, of change. Most people are not only not embracing the change in their life, they're afraid of the change, and they change only when they have to. They change only when things get really, really tough. Life starts to finally throw at them all these signs that everything is going wrong because of the place that you're coming from. Then they open themselves up and surrender and change. But before that, they were stuck in some old reality and stuck to the old patterns and stuck to the old ways of being. And I used to do this. And at some point, I went through this back and forth of being stuck in my comfort zone permanently, waiting for life to throw me some ridiculous challenge and change. For me, it was like my health and my finances in a lot of areas. Life would throw at me some ridiculous challenge. Then I'd be like, okay, now it's time to change. But that whole process had a lot of resistance in it because I'd only changed when I had to. And I surrendered because I believe I had to. And even the surrendering was still like not a full surrender. Now what I do is I simply just fall in love with change itself, and I consciously embrace that in my life every single day. Like I make it a natural part of my existence to simply embrace the change of life itself. And that is movement. Movement is change. Action is change. Action is actually very quote unquote easy. Action towards going towards what you want is not actually difficult. Action is just embracing your emotions fully from that space of unconditional awareness and then moving towards what you want from that space of emotionality where you're just feeling your emotions, but you find yourself quote unquote automatically taking action. All you have to do is focus on your goal and you'll take that inspired action. I'll never forget when a mentor told me that action is nothing more than an emotion. That blew my mind because it's like, wait a second, action, the actual flow of being in action, actually being in action, thinking about doing that is actually very hard. But being in the feeling and in the flow of actually taking action is not only an experience that does not have resistance, it has a flow and a consistency and an allowing and even a love and a bliss and a passion and a joy, which is the opposite of resistance. Resistance is I don't want to feel anything, let me push that away. And if I do feel anything, let me just push that away and resist the whole thing and stay stuck in my head. That's resistance. Now, falling in love with movement is saying any emotion that I feel, I accept that 100%. And I go towards what I want and I let that inspired action flow through me. And falling in love with that process. Like sometimes I don't like to record a video, but I get up here and record it anyways. And I find the passion and the love starts to come as I start to take action. Like the more you move, the more you want to move. That's how actually energy works. Is the more you start to move the energy, the more the energy starts to move and the more that you want to move with the energy. The more that you go on the upward spiral, the more that you want to go on an upward spiral. The rich get richer and the poor get poorer, and that's not an accident whatsoever. Now what you want to do is train yourself to fall in love with the actual flow of movement itself. the actual flow of change. So don't resist change, invite it into your life as a conscious part of your existence, and embody and be the kind of person that just loves change and loves to change. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't have your comfort zone and honor who you are and have strong boundaries. We'll just talk about that in a moment here in terms of how important it is to have strong boundaries, ironically, in combination with this, to fall in love with yourself, which I'll share with you about that in just a moment. But first of all, just become a person that falls in love with life itself. Just fall in love with that energy of movement and change, and you'll fall in love with life, because life is change. Life is movement. If you want to fall in love with life, you have to fall in love with change, because life is change. Life is not static. When you try to make life static, the ego has gotten in the way and you've blocked the natural flow of life, which is change. Life is change. Ego wants to make things stuck and not move and not change. That's all the ego, that's all the mind. Not that there's anything wrong with comfort, but staying attached to comfort permanently, that's definitely the ego. Being attached to comfort permanently is something that will never exist in the universe, never has existed, and if you try to make that exist, a permanent locking of consciousness in one state for infinity, maybe you'll have fun there for a little bit, but eventually you'll realize that's actually out of alignment with the universe, in my experience. Now, that could be a genuine calling to actually manifest that, but eventually you're going to have to change. You see, so actually attaching to one state of consciousness is what blocks the love and the abundance and the joy and the bliss. When you let consciousness flow how it wants through you, all the love and the bliss and the joy actually starts to come back in your experience once again, and you start to manifest your experience powerfully, like the divine creator that you actually are. Now, the second thing that I want to share with you in this video in terms of how to fall in love with life and yourself is number 2, focus on what you want moment to moment. Focus only on what you want moment to moment. Most people don't give themselves permission to simply focus on what they want. They're trying to fix some old part of themselves. They're trying to heal some old part of themselves. I encourage you to just stop trying to heal everything completely. Stop trying to heal the old self. Stop trying to kill the old self, and literally just be who you actually want to be moment to moment. Literally just be who you actually want to be moment to moment. Just fully embody who you actually prefer to be moment to moment. And what will happen is that you'll start to fall in love with life, because you realize that going towards something is an inevitable process of infinite expansion. There's never the destination, because by the time you get to the destination, there's the next destination and the next destination and the next destination. And that's literally life. You're never going to be fulfilled and satisfied getting to the destination. Now, what you want to find fulfillment in is owning the fact, and it's okay, he's just going to say, embrace the present moment, don't have any goals. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying to not wholeheartedly give everything you have to go to the destination. I'm saying don't allow the destination to be the end of your journey and to find fulfillment in that. Fulfillment is finding joy in the process of going to the destination, which happens forever. If you know that the destination is something that's going to happen forever, why would you depend your happiness on that? What you want to do at some point when you become more mature and more wise is to actually realize that the joy comes in the process to the destination, which is infinite. So you can infinitely be satisfied going to the next thing for infinity. Doesn't mean you have to stop manifesting. Some people are I'm just going to go meditate in a cave and stop manifesting. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying you have to stop manifesting. I'm saying actually don't depend your fulfillment on the manifestations. And in fact, from that space, I encourage you to manifest even more powerfully, because falling in love with life and yourself, I believe, is manifesting everything you want, moment to moment, manifesting more abundance, more bliss, more joy, more of what you want. Manifest more. Expansion, become more. That's what I think life is about. But the ego is what stops that process. And I know that sounds a little bit backwards to what you might hear. It's you hear in the spiritual community, it's don't own your desires, don't create what you want. But what can happen is that there's a program, I think, in the collective that I've experienced where there's this belief that it's not spiritual to create what you want in the material realm and your goals at a physical level. I wholeheartedly believe that is not the truth whatsoever. I wholeheartedly believe that manifesting your goals powerfully and fully and owning them 100% does not only not take away from other people's experience, it boosts you up and it boosts other people up, and it creates a win-win dynamic where everybody actually wins. And this is never going to happen in society until we focus only on what we want moment to moment and own that about ourselves and fall in love with that process. You have to fall in love with the process of creating. I am falling in love with life right now by recording a video daily, and this always happens to me. There's been times where I really started to fall in love with myself, become attracted to myself, like, wow, I'm so attractive, like I really love myself, I love my life, I really love who I am. And that always happened when I was committed to my life purpose and what I wanted to create. When I committed to posting daily videos, regardless of the circumstances. When I committed to creating my vision, regardless of the circumstances. When I committed to becoming something more, regardless of where I was and what reality told me that I was supposed to be. And that's when I started to fall in love with the process of life. Was at the greatest moments of adversity where I chose to focus on my true heart's desire regardless of that adversity. That's when the love came in. That's when the joy came in. That's when the passion came in. Because alchemy and magic and moving towards what you want, regardless of where you are, that's the magic, that's the joy, and that's the love. And that's really what you want to do, is focus on what you want regardless of what's happening moment to moment, and let yourself fall in love with that process. Now, the third and final thing that I want to share with you in this video in terms of how to fall in love with life and yourself is number 3, don't let anyone tell you who you are. This is so absolutely critical. There's going to be many people in your life trying to tell you who you should be, what you should do, and who you are, and the place that you should come from in your life. What you need to do is you need to have strong boundaries, have a strong conviction in what you're creating, and don't let people sway you into what they're creating and what they want. Not that they're trying to do that, but people have their own personal truth and have their own personal reality. Somebody might message you and say, hey, I'm really creating this thing, this is so exciting to me, and this is what I want. And if you're wise enough to be focused on your vision and trust yourself, if you don't resonate with that, what you'll do is you'll tell that person, that's great, I'm excited for you, but that's not what I'm resonating with, and I'm not really creating that right now. Here's what I am focused on. Because when people create what they want, they have a magnetic polarity. That if they're creating something that you don't want and they have that magnetic polarity, they're going to try to suck you into that reality, and you have to be conscious enough to say, there's nothing wrong with that, but that's not who I prefer to be, and to create a boundary there to say no to that and to focus on what you want anyways. That magnetic energy of focusing on what you want regardless of what's happening is actually you actually deciding who you are, making a decision to realize that you're not going to let anybody tell you who you are. You're not going to let anybody tell you define who you are. You're not going to let anybody tell you to, you're not going to let anybody sway you from your vision and who you want to become. You can share your perspectives. You can be open to perspectives. You can be open to what people are sharing, but you have your eye on the goal. You have your eye on what you want to create. And this is why it's so absolutely critical to be aware that actually when somebody invites you to be some way that you don't resonate with, maybe consciously or unconsciously, because people will consciously invite you into their reality, or they don't even know what they're doing and they're just projecting all sorts of stuff, and you might be sucked into that. You need to learn to say no to that and to say yes to your vision no matter what is happening. And that's when you start to love yourself and trust yourself and build up that self-love and build up that self-trust. Because what I used to do is when people talk about their vision, how excited they are, maybe even invite me to do something, I'd question myself and be like, well, what if I'm not creating the right thing? What if what they're doing is the right thing and I'm doing the wrong thing? It's like, see, their magnetic energy is stronger than mine, and I start to question myself. Like, well, what if I'm doing the wrong thing and they're doing this, and I need to, it's like my whole plans started to shift, and I never followed through with my plans, because every time I was about to break through, I would get swayed by some idea or some perspective or some person or some invitation that I believed was in alignment with what I wanted, but it was a sacrifice, and I let go of what I wanted and said yes to somebody else. How are you going to fall in love with yourself if you keep saying no to your vision? How are you going to fall in love with yourself if you keep saying no to what your heart wants? How are you going to fall in love with yourself if you say no to yourself and yes to somebody else? I'm going to say that one more time. How are you going to fall in love with yourself and life if you keep saying no to yourself and what you want when people are testing you and asking you things that are out of alignment with what you want, but you say yes anyways? How are you going to create what you want from that space? It's not going to happen. So I encourage you to not let anybody tell you who you are. Have strong boundaries, have a strong conviction in where you know where you're going. Anything that's out of alignment with that in your soul, you say no to that and you continue on with what you want to create anyways as the divine creator that you are. And with that, I conclude this video. Once again, if you want to work with me one-on-one personally, hit the link that's in the description box of this video to apply for a free consultation. It's also going to be in the comments of this video as well. I do have extremely limited spots available for coaching, so if you do want to be part of my coaching program, be sure to apply as soon as possible. Also, if this video was supportive for you in any way, leave a comment down below sharing what your experience was and how this was beneficial for you. I would love to hear what you have to say, and I read every single comment. Also, please hit that like button for me so that more people can get access to this content, because I do believe that actually every single person on this planet does deserve to know that they are divine creators of their reality, and that actually they can manifest the reality and do so in the most effortless and easeful way possible, helping themselves and helping others in the process as well. And hitting that like button does help the YouTube algorithm push the videos out to more people, and that would be greatly appreciated. As always, enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video.